Hey, it's Rob Dalgeno, and I want you to sit with this one truth for the next few seconds. Your entire life can change from just 1 hour a day. Not next year, not someday, not when you feel motivated, but starting today. One focused hour can separate the people who stay stuck from the people who transform everything. Most people underestimate what consistent small actions can create, but you're not most people. If you're listening right now, it means a part of you is ready to become the person you've been avoiding becoming. And today I'm going to show you exactly how 1 hour a day can rewrite your entire future. 2. When you commit just 1 hour of your day to something that matters, something shifts inside you quietly at first, almost invisible. Most people think change is about massive action, big decisions, dramatic moments, but the truth is far simpler. It's the small, consistent acts that build the identity of the person you're meant to become. And that 1 hour, that tiny sliver of your day, is your doorway into a new version of yourself. You don't even realize how powerful it is until you look back and see how far you've come. The reason that hour matters isn't because of what you achieve in it, but because of what you tell yourself about who you are. When you show up for that hour, you're silently teaching your brain a new story. I am someone who invests in my growth. I am someone who honors my commitments. I am someone who doesn't wait for the perfect time. I create it. That's what identity change looks like. Not loud, not dramatic. It's subtle, it's steady, and it's incredibly powerful. Most people live their lives on autopilot. They wake up, rush through the day, collapse at the end of it, and repeat the cycle without ever questioning why. They think they're tired, but what they're really missing is purpose. They think they're overwhelmed, but what they're really lacking is direction. When you dedicate one intentional hour to yourself, you break that cycle. You step outside the noise, away from distraction, and into the space where you can actually hear your own potential speaking to you. Imagine this: you wake up, and instead of immediately grabbing your phone or scrolling through everyone else's lives, you give yourself 1 hour of absolute focus. 1 hour to learn, 1 hour to deepen your skills, 1 hour to move your body, 1 hour to heal, to reflect, to create, to build something meaningful. People underestimate what 1 hour can do because they compare it to the entire day. But 1 hour done with intention is more powerful than 10 hours done without purpose. And here's the part most people miss: that 1 hour creates internal momentum. Every time you show up for it, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who follows through, and belief is everything. Your actions don't stick without a foundation of belief, and belief doesn't grow without consistent action. The hour builds the belief fuels the hour. It becomes a cycle that works for you instead of against you. Think of your identity like a thermostat. Most people are set at a level of comfort, of mediocrity, of just getting by. But when you choose to commit to 1 hour of growth, you start turning that thermostat up. At first, you might not even notice the difference. It feels uncomfortable, maybe even unfamiliar, but slowly your internal standard rises. You stop tolerating things that drain you. You stop delaying the things that matter. You stop letting fear, procrastination, or old habits dictate your life. You become someone with a higher internal temperature, someone who refuses to live below their potential. The magic of that hour is that it doesn't require perfection. It doesn't ask for massive leaps. It doesn't demand motivation. It only requires one thing: showing up, even on the days you feel tired. Even on the days you feel unprepared, even when that voice in your head says it won't matter. Because it's on those days, the days when you show up despite the resistance, that your identity transforms the most. And here's the real truth: your life is not changed by the hour itself. It's changed by the person you become through that hour, the discipline you build, the clarity you gain, the hope you feel, the self-respect that grows every time you prove to yourself that you are capable of consistency. Most people are not lacking potential, they're lacking habits that connect them to their potential. 1 hour a day becomes that bridge. You start noticing small changes. You stand a little taller. You speak with more conviction. You handle challenges with more calm. You trust yourself more. You think bigger. You dream bolder. And people around you might say, "You're changing." But what they're really seeing is a new identity emerging, one that was always inside you, waiting for you to make space for it. 1 hour a day doesn't just change your schedule. It changes your mindset, your energy, your standards, and ultimately your entire life. Because when you commit to becoming the type of person who invests 1 hour a day into growth, the world around you eventually has no choice but to shift in response. Most people underestimate the power of small, consistent actions because they're so focused on the dramatic moments of life. They're waiting for the big breakthrough, the sudden shift, the lightning strike moment that changes everything. But life doesn't work like that. Transformation doesn't come from one giant decision. It comes from tiny decisions repeated over and over until they stack into something powerful. 1 hour a day may seem simple, maybe even insignificant, but those hours collect in the background like quiet warriors fighting for your future. When people say they want to change their body, their finances, their mindset, their relationships, they imagine a massive push, a burst of motivation, a season of doing everything perfectly. But perfection isn't sustainable. Intensity doesn't last. What lasts is something far less glamorous: consistency. It's showing up on the days you're tired, on the days you're busy, on the days you don't feel inspired. That 1 hour, day after day, becomes a chain of commitments that builds something stronger than motivation: momentum. The beauty of daily action is that it multiplies without you even noticing. Think about it. 1 hour a day becomes 7 hours a week. 7 hours a week becomes around 30 hours a month. 30 hours a month becomes more than 300 hours a year. That is the equivalent of 9 full work weeks spent solely on becoming a better version of you. Most people don't even spend 9 minutes thinking about their growth, and here you are stacking 9 weeks of intentional self-development every single year. That's why you grow faster than others. That's why results that once felt impossible suddenly begin to feel normal. Small action compounds in the same way money does. You don't see the growth at first. It's slow, almost invisible. It feels like nothing is happening. And that's why so many people quit. They can't tolerate the quiet stages where the roots are growing underground. They want instant harvest without the season of planting. But the ones who understand the compound effect, the ones who trust that their hour is building something even when they can't see it yet, those are the ones who eventually experience the results everyone else calls overnight success. There's nothing overnight about it. There's consistency about it. There's sacrifice about it. There's discipline about it. There's discipline about it. There's commitment about it. Behind every person you admire, everybody who inspires you, there are countless hours you never got to see, hours of repetition, hours of practice, hours of doubt, hours of resilience, and you're building those same invisible hours every single time you show up. What's powerful is that each hour makes the next one easier. You start to develop a rhythm, a routine, a flow. Your brain begins to expect growth. Your body begins to crave it. What used to feel like effort becomes who you are. Your habits start working for you instead of against you. And that's when the transformation accelerates. That's when it becomes less about forcing yourself to show up and more about not being able to imagine skipping that hour. The compounding effect also shows up in your confidence. Every hour is a deposit into your self-belief. Every time you follow through, you discreetly tell yourself, I can trust me. And that is one of the most valuable things you can develop. Because when you trust yourself, you stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop letting temporary feelings dictate permanent decisions. You stop shrinking when life challenges you. You step into opportunities with a different level of certainty. You look at obstacles differently. You navigate life with more strength because you've proven to yourself over and over that you are capable of consistency. And then something amazing happens. The work you put in during that 1 hour starts spilling into the other 23 hours of your day. You think clearer, you speak more intentionally, you handle stress better, you make better decisions. You start choosing things that support the life you're building rather than the life you're trying to escape. The small actions don't stay small, they reshape the entire way you live. People around you might think the changes happen suddenly, but you'll know the truth. You'll know about the hours you put in when nobody was watching. You'll know about the days you showed up when it felt inconvenient. You'll know about the quiet battles you fought within your mind. And that's why the results feel so meaningful, because you earn them hour by hour, day by day, step by step. Change doesn't come from doing something once. It comes from doing something repeatedly until the world around you begins to shift in response. 1 hour a day becomes the foundation of a new life. 1 hour a day becomes the proof that you're not stuck. 1 hour a day becomes the force that rewrites your story. Momentum is one of the most underestimated forces in a person's life. People think change comes from motivation, from excitement, from waiting for the perfect moment when everything finally feels right. But momentum doesn't come from a feeling, it comes from a decision. It comes from showing up for 1 hour a day, day after day, until something inside you shifts and you realize you're no longer pushing your life forward, your life is pulling you forward. When you first start giving yourself that one focused hour, it feels like work, it feels like effort. You have to think about it. You have to plan for it. You have to fight distractions to protect it. But the beautiful thing about momentum is that it turns effort into flow. At some point, the hour stops feeling like a task and starts feeling like oxygen. You begin to crave it. You begin to depend on it. It becomes the one part of your day where your mind is clear, your direction is obvious, and your purpose feels real. And once momentum enters the picture, everything changes. Momentum doesn't start big. It begins quietly. It begins with a thought like, I'm doing this, and then an action that aligns with that decision. Maybe the first day isn't perfect. Maybe the second day feels messy. Maybe the third day you question whether it's even making a difference. But if you keep going, if you choose to show up again and again, something powerful happens. Momentum wakes up. And when it wakes up, it doesn't just nudge you forward. It carries you. It gives you energy you didn't know you had. It gives you clarity you've been missing. It gives you direction when your old habits used to keep you wandering. People think confidence comes first. It doesn't. Confidence is born from momentum. Confidence is built each time you keep a promise to yourself. Every small win adds weight to the belief that you are capable, that you are disciplined, that you are becoming someone unstoppable. Momentum also eliminates the biggest enemy of growth, overthinking. When you don't have momentum, everything feels heavy. Every decision feels big. Every step feels uncertain. You hesitate. You procrastinate. You second-guess yourself. But once momentum is on your side, you stop thinking so much and start doing more. You get out of your own head. You stop convincing yourself why something won't work and start proving to yourself that it can. That 1 hour becomes your reset button. It becomes a space where you reconnect with your goals, where you remind yourself why you're doing this, where you reconnect with the version of you you're striving to become. And the more time you spend connected to that version of you, the harder it becomes to go back to the old patterns, the old excuses, the old limitations. The person you were becomes too small for the person you're growing into. Momentum doesn't just transform your present, it reshapes your entire future. When you start stacking these hours, you begin building something that can no longer be ignored. Your mind changes, your energy changes, your habits change, your expectations for yourself change. Opportunities that once felt out of reach begin to feel natural. Challenges that used to intimidate you suddenly seem manageable. And people notice it. They feel the shift in you. They hear it in your voice. They see it in your eyes. And here's the thing, momentum makes the hardest part of your journey easier, not because the obstacles disappear, but because you carry a different level of belief into them. You stop questioning whether you can get through something. You start saying, I've been showing up every day. I'm not stopping now. That hour trains you to become someone who keeps moving forward, even when things get hard, especially when things get hard, because challenges don't break momentum. They strengthen it. Momentum is the bridge between who you are now and who you want to become. But you don't build it by waiting. You build it by taking one step today, one step tomorrow, and one step the day after that. And before you know it, your steps turn into strides. Your strides turn into breakthroughs. Your breakthroughs turn into a life you're proud to wake up to. And that life, the life you're chasing, the life you know deep down you're meant to live, starts from one place, 1 hour of focused action. 1 hour that sets everything else in motion. 1 hour that becomes a spark for a future you can finally see and finally believe in. When you look back on your life months from now or years from now, the thing that will surprise you most is not how far you've come, but how simple the decision was that started it all. 1 hour a day. That's it. 1 hour where you chose focus instead of distraction. 1 hour where you chose discipline over comfort. 1 hour where you stopped negotiating with your excuses and started building the life you actually deserve. This isn't about perfection. This isn't about intensity. This isn't about waking up tomorrow and suddenly becoming a different person. It's about identity. It's about momentum. It's about stacking small actions until they become something unshakable. When you give yourself that hour, you're not just changing your schedule, you're changing your trajectory. You're creating a future that pulls you forward instead of a past that holds you back. Every great transformation begins with a simple choice. And today, that choice is in front of you. Not someday, not next month, not when life gets easier. Today, right now, because your life will not change from wishing, hoping, or waiting. It will change from doing. So take that hour. Protect it like your future depends on it, because it does. Use it to create the version you that you know you're capable of becoming. And when you show up again tomorrow and the day after that, you'll realize something powerful. You're no longer chasing change, you are becoming the change. And that's when everything in your life begins to shift, because 1 hour a day can change your life.